This is the Main Event Boxing Show in association with Premier Sports and sponsored by Hustle Productions here every Friday night at 10 p.m. on Sky Channel 433. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the show. It's 27th of January, Friday night, 10 p.m. Thanks for joining us. In the studio today, Bobby. We've got Bobby Rimmer. I've got to mention it, Bobby, because he gets upset, doesn't he? We're also joined in the studio with tonight's top guest, John Murray. John, thanks for joining us, pal.
Nice one,
On the phone, we've got Kenny Andersen, who, of course, fought George Groves last time out. They've got the rematch, so he's on the phone to talk about that fight that's coming up in March. And also we're joined by American superstar Andre Ward a little bit later on. Okay, we start the show as usual with a studio guest. John, thanks for joining us, pal. You're a bit of you're a friend of the show anyway. You've been on a few times now. How have you been, mate, since the last time you was on?
I've been well. Obviously, I had my fight in December, and I've had a bit of a break since then over Christmas and New Year, and just got back into the gym now, so I'm looking at a new date.
Yeah, because obviously you fought Brandon Rios early December for the WBA lightweight title. Obviously, you know, it didn't go to plan from your point of view. But how was it, John, as an experience? Because you fought in Madison Square Gardens for the first time in front of your fans, you know.
No, it was a massive experience in my career. One of the highlights. Obviously, I'm fighting for the world title, and to box at such a special place like Madison Square Garden, where there's been such huge fights in the past. You know, it was a good experience for me, and you know, it was a great fight as well. And that's what you want if you're fighting the best. You want to put up a great effort, and I think that's what I did.
Yeah, because it's.
How did you find that extra weight, John, with him? What was that part of it, you think?
I mean, he failed the weight. He didn't make the weight, did he? But I think by the time we got in there on fight night, I think he looks huge compared to me, and I think, you know, I'm known as a big lightweight as it is, and for him to be massive compared to me, I think, you know, I think it obviously did make a difference in the fight, but I had no complaints. I took the fight. I trained for 3 months before that fight, and you know, I was there to fight. But I could have, by all means, I was in my rights to take the money and run when he didn't make the way. I could have got paid and not had to take the fight, but like I said, I'd done all the training for 3 months, and I was there to fight, so I wanted to take the fight and a chance for me to win a world title as well.
Yeah, you can't turn that opportunity down, Bob, can you? Do you know what I mean?
No. Not to fight at Madison Square Garden, it's
exactly.
It's what dreams are made of, isn't it? You know what I mean? So.
I mean, I think Kerry was in this show after that John actually fought, and he was saying he probably would have been about stone and a half heavier.
That's what he said,
Do you know what I mean? Would you expect him, because a lot of people were talking about with this extra weight, he might kind of gas out a little bit later on, because he looked like a skeleton, didn't he, on the scales, because he was, you know, he tried to drain himself. So that was a big hope, really. Well,
that's what we thought. You know, we thought as getting past 6 rounds into the later stage of the fight, and he would fade away. And you know, the way that I fight, I normally come on as well as the fight goes on. So we thought, you know, it would suit us. And after 6 rounds in the fight, I thought, I'm well in there, this fight. And now he's going to fade. I'm going to take over and win this fight. But obviously, it didn't work out the way I kept hitting him, and no effect. Obviously, you can see my face at the end of the fight. You know, he'd done a great job, but fair play to him, he was a great fighter, and I think he showed that on that night.
He's probably been at that weight, you know, like that, the big weight, what he was again. What he was again on the day of the fight. He's probably been training at that weight for like 5 or 6 weeks, and then killed himself to try and make that weight and didn't. So for him, he's just back to normal. How he's been training for 5 or 6 weeks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because he kind of looked normal for him, didn't he? He didn't look overweight. You know, he didn't look any bigger than he normally does. So he probably has been training, fighting at that weight.
Yeah, I try and do the same with my lads. So like Brian was 11.5, and just get that bit of weight off him. And then when he gets on the day of the fight, he's probably 11.5, 11.6. So he's not put too much on, because he's been training at that for 4 weeks, that weight. So it's probably the same as what they've done over there. Do you know what I mean? He was probably back to what he's been used to training at on the day of the fight with John. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Before we get into the fight a little bit more, John, why the U-turn with him? Because the last time you was on the show, it was just before Christmas, and you know, you split with Gallagher, you trained with Joe Gallagher, and then obviously sort of mid-camp you went back to Joe for the fight. You know, what was the reasoning behind that?
I just thought, you know, me and Joe had a fallout after the Mitchell fight, and you know, I wasn't happy with Joe. I moved to a different camp, but you know, this opportunity presented itself, and for me to go to another training, it would have took 2, maybe 3 fights for us to get used to each other, and I just wasn't prepared to take that risk. So me and Joe, I phoned Joe, told him how I felt, and you know, we had a good chat, and we talked about our differences, what what we had before the fight, and we set them aside. We made friends, and you know, we had a really good training camp, and you know, I can't complain one little bit.
It was the right thing to do, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know, at that moment in time, it was a decision you had to make, and for me, you made the right decision going back. You know.
I mean, like I say, I had a great training camp, and I had nothing to complain about. I was in top shape, and you know, I think I shown with the effort that I put in it, I was in good shape. Yeah.
It's nice to hear a boxer say that, because normally they come out with all the excuses, don't they?
Make no bones about it. Fighting Brandon Rios over there, you have to. He had to be
at his best,
in that best. It would have been even worse. You know what I mean? So, you know, he made the right decision by being in there and being in the fight for so long, like he was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But just going back to the weight issues and stuff that we had with the fight, did that affect you at any time? Because obviously it affected Brandon because he had all the, you know, the weight issues. But did it affect you mentally? You know, is it on? Is it not? Is he going to make the weight?
No, not really.
No.
I was there to fight, and you know what I mean. We had the weigh-in and everything, and obviously it was over, but we talked about it. But I always thought the fight was going to happen. I thought, well, I've trained for 3 months. I'm here to fight, so you know, whatever happened, I was going to fight. So even though he failed the weight, I was always going to fight him, whatever happened. So we spoke to people, and we ended up getting a bit extra money. But I would have done the fight for no extra money, if I'm honest with you. Just as long as I still could have won the world title at the end of it, that was all I was there for.
Yeah, of course, I mean, so it never crossed your mind to kind of pull out and stuff like that. What was his team like behind the scenes? Because there was also rumours as well, I don't know if you heard it, Bobby, like they were a bit aggressive, he wouldn't shake your hand and this kind of stuff. Was there any tension? I know there was tension, obviously, because you're fighting each other, but were they extra kind of aggressive?
I think that's just the way he is before the fight. Some fighters, you know, like myself, are pretty laid back, and I'm not bothered. I'll shake hands with my opponent, and it doesn't bother me. You know, it's just a job for me. But other fighters take it really to heart and really personal, and they genuinely hate their opponent when they're fighting. But you know, we had the fight, and after the fight, me and Rios had a good chat backstage, and you know, he was genuinely nice. And since then, he's done a few interviews, and he's always spoke very highly of me.
Right, yeah, because like you say, but saying that though, I remember, I think I said it on the show after, you know, when Kenny came in and stuff like that, and I remember him walking around the ring after the fight, and he was saying, like, you know, warrior and all that lot. So he had a lot of respect for it after the fight, without a doubt.
Like I say, fighters different, aren't they? Some are quiet,
of course,
some like to, you know, go on with themselves and gob off and all that, and obviously he's one of them, isn't he? When the fight's over, they kind of revert back to being normal.
Of course, We talk all the time about, you know, a lot of the fighters who go abroad challenging for world titles and stuff like that, they might not have a lot of time. We just wanted to get your opinion on it, John, you know, because I think you was out there for about a week, weren't you, before the fight?
No, I boxed in Vegas at a week's notice, and I don't think it was enough, because I boxed there at 2 weeks' notice, and my performance was much better at the time when I went 2 weeks prior rather than 1 week before. But we felt on New York, it was like, it's a couple of hours closer flight-wise, and the time difference is only 5 hours. So we wanted to get the bulk of our work done over here and go over there with only a week just to make the weight and then do the fight. And you know, I was pretty happy with it. You know, I had no like grudges with that. Or I was a bit jet lagged. I think I was in the best shape I could be. And after the fight, you know, I had no complaints. I felt great in there, and you know, I do genuinely think that got be because he was a better fighter, and that's it.
Right. And what was your schedule like though when you was there? Was it?
It wasn't as chaotic as you would imagine. It's just as if it was a fight over there. You know, all the work's done. We don't really do much work on the last week. Just a case of a couple of just checking our weight and keeping on top of the weight. But nothing really. Just we had a press conference one day. We had the making the other day, and then the fight the day after that. So it was just a normal. Just a normal fight schedule,
Right, fair enough. Okay.
You reckon when you go to New York, you don't get it's the jet lag when you come back, and it going's okay. You know, it's when you're coming back when you get it, and like you say, just the extra few hours. Is not as bad as going to Vegas, is it?
Yeah, it made a big difference, I think, fighting on the East Coast, it did. Yeah,
because Vegas is like a full day, isn't it? Whereas it's sort of it's afternoon, isn't it? New York kind of thing.
Like, it wasn't too bad,
Yeah. Okay. So what happens, John, right? You're in Madison Square Gardens. It's the biggest fight of your life. You're fighting for a world title. What's going through your mind in the dressing room? What's going on? Because
I was pretty relaxed beforehand. As you know, I've been pro now. I think I'm going into my 9th or 10th year as a pro, and I've done it all
How
before.
old are you, John?
I'm 27. I've been pro since I was 18, haven't I? So.
Like Canelo,
yeah. Turned pro pretty young, but I've had 33 pro fights now, and going through it all, it's just the same routine every time. Getting my bandages on, doing my boots, shorts on, protector, gum shielding, start warming up on the pads, going through the old routine, and I was pretty relaxed, you know. I just take it every fight I have, just baby steps towards the ring. I've got to just get my boots on now. Now I've got to get my protector on until I'm in the ring. So I was pretty relaxed going in there.
Is it any time you get a little bit nervous or anything?
I think I was a bit nervous a couple of times for this, but I just, like I say, just revert back to what I know. Just calm. It's not time to be nervous yet. You're not getting punches thrown at you yet, so just take your time and and just calm down, and you're not having to be nervous just yet. So
what was the walk like to the ring?
I enjoyed it, Johnny be good blasting, and that was good, really enjoyed it, everyone going nuts, and all my mates that made the trip, and that was good,
because it's your dream, that, isn't it, Bobby? You know what I mean? You'd have loved that, wouldn't you? Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, the big fight. I mean, I got close to it once. I boxed at the Piccadilly Hotel, so I wasn't far away, was I?
Did you have any music?
I got the bus home with my dad.
Did you have a soundtrack though, Bob?
We didn't have music then, mate.
No,
it was, it just wasn't me. You know, I was boxing. It was just, you went and you had a fight and you got paid and you come home and that was the end of it. You know what I mean?
Brilliant.
Bus, I got the bus there and then the bus back.
Is that real? Like, genuine,
yeah. I think Jane Couch had it hard.
I know, Jesus. What did I say? So, John, you know, you got stopped in the 11th round, it was, which in itself is a great performance, because we were saying last time, you know, there's a lot of people expected him, one, to walk through you, and two, you know, for you to not go as far as you know, as you, and not just go as far, but do as well as you did as well. You know what I mean? Because
he looked in them first 6 rounds at Rios, didn't he? He looked as if to say, "Dear me, what's going on here?"
I had him, even me.
Yeah, you know, I think probably Brandon Rios did think that we're just going to walk through John, and then when it wasn't going his way in them first 6 rounds, it was like doing a bit of soul searching, wasn't he? You know, thinking, hang on a minute, this kid's not a pushover like I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So he has to start, you know, going to plan B and stuff like that. And you could actually see that in the fight, like it was ebbing and flowing both ways, wasn't it?
Yeah. How did you feel, John? Did you feel in control?
After 6 rounds, I thought I was even enjoying the fight up to that point. I went back to the corner and I thought, this is my type of fight now, and I know I'm going to go over and take over. I mean, my whole life in boxing, I've always come on stronger as the rounds have gone on, and especially in that type of fight, up close and you know, chipping away at each other. I thought, this is suiting me down to the ground, and go on, I was going to get the horse whip out, just whip myself and go on, John, kick on now, and then no, it didn't turn out that way, did it? But you know, fair play to me. I've got no grudges. I was in shape of my life, and everything what I did, I think I did to my best, and I think I just genuinely got beat up a better fighter, and that's it.
It was the eye again, wasn't it? Causing you problems,
it's
start to close up again, and then once that happened...
See, if you're in the ring with someone and the other kid's better than you, you're going to get beat, aren't you? That's the top and bottom of it. You know, if he's better than you on the night, you get beat, don't you? You know, there's nothing you can do about that.
Of course, no. How would you rate Brandon, you know, in terms of opponents you face? Is he definitely worthy of being...
Yeah, he's up there. I think he's a worthy world champion. I think he's a really good fighter, and be interesting to see how he goes on now. Obviously going up a weight, so we'll see how he goes on.
Yeah. So you're going to stay at lightweight?
Yeah, I'm staying at lightweight, yeah.
Brilliant, excellent. So what's next then for John Murray? You know, you're going to take, well, you've had a bit of a break.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a break over Christmas, New Year, but
you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, yeah. To say the least, and that's it now. I'm back in training and just waiting on a date. I think we've heard it's going to be April time, so just going to make sure I'm ready for April, and then I'll fight anyone. Right.
So you're still with Frank Warren?
Yeah.
But you know, we were saying as well before, it probably might be best. I mean, obviously no promoter, but maybe you probably want a bit of a kind of a warm-up fight, really, don't you? You don't want another war, do you, really?
Yeah. You know it's easy to say that, but I mean,
it's the top level, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, they're all hard fights.
And you know John, and you know how he's made, and you know what his makeup is, and if all of a sudden a big fight comes along, he's not going to say no, is it? You know, I don't know, you know, is there any easy fights out there for John? Does he want to take a step back? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of big fights out there at the minute in that division, and you know, one's definitely going to come his way very soon again, isn't it, mate? You know what I mean? It's not going to be You know,
yeah,
like turning them down,
I love to fight. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah,
and
what's he going to do with 6 rounds against a journeyman in Bolton or something like that? It's not going to happen, is it? So
yeah, true.
he's at that top level now.
That's what we turned pro for in the first place, and to be in these
true.
big fights, and especially the lightweight division in Britain at the minute is very hot. There's some great fighters in there, so I'm sure I'll be fighting one of them soon.
Yeah. Is there anyone in particular, John, who you kind of got your eye on?
I'd like the Mitchell rematch. I think he did me last time, but I'm sure I can change a few things, and I reckon that after fight I can win. Be another great fight. I'm sure it'll win fight of the year again this year.
Yeah, it was a belting fight, wasn't it? Yeah. So are you going to be in the same camp? You staying at Gallagher's gym as well? Yeah,
staying at Joe's. Like I said, I've got it's a busy gym at the minute. There's a lot of good fighters there at the gym, and there's a lot of good fighters in and around the weight. So I get some great sparring in-house, and that's always a good thing. And these other fighters got title fights coming up and stuff, and they're training hard, and that always pushes you on a little bit harder. So I'm going to stay there, and like I say, I'm just hoping I can get another big fight this year. Yeah, brilliant. Hopefully you will do. Yeah. So you're going to be out in April. So obviously you'll probably be on the show before, and hopefully anyway. And we'll let them all know. But you're going to stick around for the rest of the show. Anyway, John, you know the score anyway by now. Bob, if they want to get in touch, they can email us at info@maineventboxingshow.co.uk. We're joined on the phone now with Super Middleweight Kenny Andersen. Hello, Kenny.
All right, how's it going, guys?
Yeah,
good mate, good. Thanks for joining us, pal. Kenny, you meet George Groves again, March 16th for the for the British and Commonwealth titles at the Wembley Arena. It is the rematch. You must be delighted, mate, at getting the chance to avenge the defeat last time out.
Yes, of course. I mean, I'm a winner. I didn't go into the last fight expecting to get beat. It obviously happened, and it was, it was mentally painful, and it has been since then. So I've now got a chance to rectify that feeling, and I'm not going to let the opportunity pass me. I mean, I'm just grateful that the boxing board with control made me mandatory, and I'm going to prove them right that I am a worthy challenger when I go down there and take it off them.
Kenny, Steve was telling me last time, Steve Woods, that you really didn't have a lot of time to prepare for the fight, did you? And this time, obviously, you're going to have a full camp, aren't you? Do you think this is going to be a big factor in the fight?
Aye. Well, I'm not going to make excuses about last time. At the end of the day, I took the fight, and you take a fight, you take what you get. And, I never went into that fight thinking, I'm not properly prepared, I might not win this. I knew when I was going into that fight that I was going to win it. I knew in my heart, I didn't go into any belief that I was going to get beat, or the possibility of that fact. It wasn't the longest camp, and it was pretty short notice, let's say, but at the end of the day, what happened. What's the difference now is that I've got a chance to rectify it, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Now I can talk about what I'm going to do and what I've done, rather than what I could have done if this had happened or if that had happened. That's the difference.
Yeah. Talking about what you're going to do, Kenny, what have you done anything different in this fight, in regards to training for the fight coming up?
Well, obviously we've had more time, so we've been training hard, but I've not been training since I heard that I'd been made mandatory status. I've been training since the last fight. Every time we've been in the gym, every time we've been working on something, it's always been on the back of my mind and in the back of Kevin Marie's mind that this will work well towards an opponent like Groves. It's always an example we use, and it's always something we use as a motivation tool. It's always something that we work towards. So this is not a new thing. We've been training for this fight for over a year. So in terms of time scale, we've had a lot of time to work on and a lot of different things to work on. And we're always looking to improve, and I think I have improved massively, as I believe George Groves would have improved as well. The amount of time he's been in the ring and what I've seen for his fights and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You're coming off three straight wins in for this fight. You were talking there that you have improved. In what areas would you say you've improved? I'm a lot more relaxed. I feel as if there's
there's no the pressure that was once put upon myself before fights and stuff like that. I mean, dealing with a defeat like that, it was a grown up experience. It was you know what I mean. It's not something that you've got to take it and you've got to understand and take the best things from it. It's easy for me to be bitter and upset about it, but I'm not. And you know what I mean. So in terms of your mindset and the way that you train and the way that you look at boxing, I'm happy with my boxing now. It's going well, and I'm happy that the situation I'm in it's under control. But I've improved in loads of different aspects. All the attributes that I had before I went into that fight, I've made them better. And you know what I mean. We're always adding stuff to the artillery that I've got. I mean, there's no one specific thing. I mean, a lot of people say I'm one-dimensional, but that's just because they've not seen the other side of me, because I've not needed to show it. I've not needed to show anything else in other fights. I only do what I have to in fights, and have a format like walking I'm doing and knocking them out works, then why not do it? Why not just use that? You don't need to be smart and show off or anything. I'm no frills. I mean, I do my job, and that's all I need to do.
Yeah. I mean, these two lads will probably be able to answer it better than I could, you know, because I remember seeing the fight. It was on the undercard to the Harrison fight, obviously. And for the, you know, up until you got stopped, really. I mean, you had George under a lot of pressure, really, don't you? Know, John, you was there. How did you feel about it?
No, I watched it, and Kenny, I thought early on in the fight, he was winning the fight, and I thought he was going to go on and take over and win the fight. And obviously, you know, George fought out of his skin that night, and he came back and won. But obviously, being myself on the losing end of the last couple of fights, I know that there is things you can change when you can learn off them losses, and I'm sure you have gone back to the gym and looked at your losses, and I'm sure you'll come back a better fighter from it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm looking to do. I wouldn't like to think that I went through that experience, which was obviously, I mean, it's a killer at night, and you know what I mean, when it comes into your head, you've got to deal with it. So I would take to think that I came through that with nothing, and I mean, I want to take what I can out of it, and I'm taking all the best things that I can. And it's obviously it's not nice to watch the fights and see that it never worked out, but there's a lot of good things I can take for it, a lot of good attributes, the stuff that I was doing before in the early rounds, and then when I put them down, and after that, I mean, it was a one-sided, it was almost a mismatch. And people talk about his performance, and I've heard him say it was his worst performance. He boxed out his skin, absolutely out his skin. He was fighting for his life. He boxed well, and I mean, I think me and Kevin Marie were one of the few people that said when he came up against Seagal, he was going to beat him. And I mean, that's because we knew how good I was, and we knew that his performance was a good performance, and people just underrated me, which brought his performance down. I just never got the credit for my ability, but you know what I mean, he done well. I mean, good luck to him, and I hope he has an injury-free training camp, because he'll definitely need it for this fight, because you know what I mean, he'll know he's in the ring with a man anyway. He'll not be in the ring with some of the guys he's been in with.
Yeah. What kind of George Groves are you expecting on fight night? Is he going to come and fight you, or do you think it's going to be, you know, pretty much same sort of performance on the back foot?
Well, I mean, I think obviously, I mean, people will have their tactics and their different scenarios and things like that. Yeah, it's sometimes hard to work out how a fight's got to go, but I mean, I've got a pretty good format to my boxing just now, and it's working pretty well. So I'll be looking to enforce that, and if it works well, then I won't change it. I'll keep that simple format, and if I have to change it and go to plan B, then we'll go to plan B, and if that doesn't work, we'll go to plan C, and if that doesn't work, we'll go to plan D, and I suppose if that doesn't work, then I'll sit right about him and just, you know what I mean? It's not just the case of getting a format. We'll need to see how the fight goes, we'll need to see what he wants. I mean, hopefully he wants to come out and have a slugfest, because that would work more into my attributes, but I doubt that. I think he'll want to work in a fight that works more towards his strength.
Yeah, who have you been sparring, Kenny?
We've had different guys in the gym. I don't think Kevin would want to...
can you not disclose that yet? No.
I wasn't
top secret.
put that just now because I think they want to keep it under the hats more than anything. But I mean, I've had good sparring. I've had good training. I think we've got, if you what Kevin's telling me, some good guys lined up. So, you know, I mean, there'll be some good names there. But in terms of sparring, it's what you take for the sparring. It's what you're working on. And I mean, you can get world class names, but sometimes the best sparring for you is on your doorstep as well. So you've got to be clever about it. It's not just about bringing in big flash names. It's got to be the right people, and you've still got to work on the right things in the sparring. And this is the stuff that I'm getting told to Kevin Murray. He's the one with the, you know, with the boxing brain that I trust, and it's worked well in the past. So, you know, I trust his judgment, and we've got a good relationship. And I mean, that's a big confidence builder as well, having somebody in your corner you can trust. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, you'll know that yourselves, lads. But you know, what his weaknesses? What are George's weaknesses? Where are you going to kind of get to him, or you know, or penetrate his defence? How are we going to do it? Well, his weakness is probably me. I'm his weakness. The main thing just too much for him. I mean, that's probably his main weakness. But I mean, he's a well-rounded fighter. It won't be easy. It won't be an easy fight. I'm not underestimating him. I'm giving him the respect he deserves as a good fighter. I don't mean to sound arrogant or anything like that, but I know who I am, and I know what I've done, and I know what I can do, and that's the difference. So when I go out there, he's a good fighter, and I'll give him the respect he deserves as a good fighter. But he's not me. He's not walk my shoes. I mean, he's never come across somebody like me before. When he did last time, when he had a tiny wee taste of it, he nearly came a cropper. Now he's got to get a full mouthful of it. So it'll be a different story, I can assure you that.
Okay, fair enough. And the last question for tonight then, mate. Have you got a prediction for the fight? Are you going to stop him, or you're not minded how you win?
Well, I mean, obviously a win's a win. I'm a strong believer in that. I'll take it any way I can, but I don't think this will be an incredibly long night, to be honest. I mean, it might be, we'll be prepared for 12 rounds. That's what we're preparing for. The 12 hard rounds, 12 focused rounds, 12 rounds of perfect format in boxing. But you know what I mean? I'm a shark. If I smell that, I'll be taking it. I don't want any overtime. It's job and finish. You get that done early, and we can go home. So you know what I mean? That's the way I'll be looking at it. Yeah, of course. Okay, well, Kenny, thanks for joining us tonight, mate. And obviously, we're going to wish you good luck for the fight on the 16th.
Good luck, mate.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show, guys. Sorry it was maybe a bit of a better line with this phone call, but I appreciate you having us on, all right?
Yeah, no worries, mate. And hopefully we'll speak to you again after the fight, mate.
Right. You will do, mate. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Kenny. Take care, mate.
Thanks, bye.
Okay, lads, that was Kenny Andersen, not on the phone there, obviously. It was a good fight last time. You two were there at the Jammeh Arena.
I really believe that he's been underrated, Kenny Andersen.
I do, yeah.
I think this time that he's going to do George Groves this time.
I think so, yeah.
I really, really do, because you know he took the fight at short notice last time. Steve Woods is obviously his manager, like it, and he manages some of the lads from my gym. So, I think now he's got better preparation, and he will prepare longer for it. I think he's a bit of a force, me, that Kenny Andersen. He's strong, solid, trains hard, does everything right, you know what I mean? And I think he's going to get a shock George Groves this time.
Yeah, in all sorts of trouble, didn't he, John? You know?
No, that's right, yeah. I mean, last time it was such a good fight, and speaking to him then on the phone, he sounds like a man possessed.
Yeah,
and, I'm telling you now, I can't wait for this fight now. Yeah, I mean, it's a bigger fight now because obviously George has gone on to do better things since then. He's obviously beat the girl and stuff like that, and Kenny's on the back of 3 wins, so you know it's an even bigger fight this time. And speaking to Kenny Andersen, then he does sound like a man possessed.
He does. He sounds like Brian sounded, you know, with Prince Adam, like, you know what I mean? It was,
they kind of get it, don't they? You know, like they get it and they think, right, okay, this is, you know, I'm going to win this fight, and you know, they know in their minds they're going to win the fight, and they're going to win them, don't they?
Saying that though, you can't write George Groves off.
No, listen, George Groves is a great fighter, and you can't write him off, but I think he sounds like he's in that mindset there, Kenny Andersen, where he's just going to be, you know, whatever he does, he's just, you know, like with Ricky with Costa Zoo, you know, Rick was the same. Whatever Costa Zoo did to Rick that night never bothered him. even the low blow.
Yeah.
You know, he just was kept going and going and going. That's how he sounds like Kenny Andersen.
Yeah.
If I was George Groves, I'd be a little bit worried tonight, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight anyway.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it on March the 16th, that is, but we'll give you the info as that gets a little bit nearer. A bit of boxing news as well. We'll go to some results that we had from last week, Bobby. Danny Matthews got beat by Emiliano Marcellia by TKO in the 7th round.
I was a bit surprised with Bart. He just didn't look there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When Danny Matthews pushed the kid back, you know, the kid was kind of all over the show.
Yeah.
But he just didn't look there. He didn't look himself. You know what I mean? And straight away early on, he started getting that facial damage again. You know, that nose was bleeding again. And
he done it with Reese, wasn't it? The fight before,
his face, his eyes was up, and obviously when your nose is bad, your eyes come up anyway, don't they? You know what I mean? So maybe that facial damage was not fully healed from the time before. You know what I mean? But he just didn't look there. Do you know what I mean?
Which is surprising because his last few fights before that, he's looked great, hasn't he?
And when he decided to push the kid back and all that, the kid was like, you know, all sorts of problems. You know what I mean? But he just, I think for me, I think that facial damage from Gavin Reeves, I think that came into play pretty quick. You know what I mean? His nose started bleeding early on again. It was that, you know, that proper blood again.
Well, you'll be able to tell us, John. Is that as bad as what it looks like? You know,
once your nose turns on, it's hard to breathe. I mean, there's lots of blood in and around coming out your nose, and obviously going down your throat as well. You end up swallowing a lot of it, so it does. Once the eyes come up, you struggle seeing the shots coming and stuff, and it does become hard. Yeah.
He had a terrible mess, like, you know, his face, his nose went and his eye went. So, you know, it was just one of them nights. You know what I mean?
I'm sure he'll
just didn't seem to, you know, to be his normal self. I think
it just wasn't him that night, was it? Strange, really. But also as well last weekend from the Liverpool Olympia, this was on the Saturday night. Dave Price beat John McDermott.
He certainly sent that big message, hasn't he?
Yeah, 73 seconds it was, first round knockout, 3 knockdowns.
He just seemed to go for it, didn't he, McDermott? He just went for it, didn't he?
Strange,
you know, strange from what he normally does. He just kind of
windmilling
a little bit. You know, he just went all in, straight on, didn't he? You know what I mean? And you know, when that big Price there, 6'8", when he hits you on the chin, like he's going out, it's going to make your ears ring anyway.
I know.
What I mean, John?
Saying that though, McDermott in the fight before against that laddie, Alabama were. He done the same thing, but it worked that time, didn't it? Because he caught him, but you know, unfortunately wasn't.
I thought it was going to be a real tough fight for Price. I mean, obviously McDermott has had some good wins in his career, and he didn't have to fight with Fury where they thought that McDermott had won it. He should have won. So I thought it might be a tough fight for Price, and obviously McDermott had proved he could not cope with the taller people and that. And but no, I was really impressed with Price. He took care of business, and he did it really in great style. Which is, he sent out a message to all the other heavyweights out there, and he's a contender definitely.
Yeah, he is.
You know what I noticed with David, he's kind of lost that the amateur's gone now from him.
Yeah.
You know, he's a proper professional now, and if you look at the fight for how long it lasted, his feet was on the floor, his feet was planted on the floor. He wasn't up like, you know, the amateur style. His feet was actually planted on the floor, and he was banging them shots in. And you know,
himself.
I think he has been like a bit of a dark horse in the heavyweight scene in Britain at the moment. But I think, you know, over the next year, I think he can really make a big name for himself.
He's been very quiet, hasn't he?
Well, he's kind of gone under the radar. You've had Chisora, Fury, you know, making all the headlines and stuff like that. And
he's just been brought along nicely, hasn't he? You know what I mean? And you can see he's been over to America sparring, hasn't he, in the wild card gym and stuff like that. And, and you can kind of see that in his demeanour.
You can see his improvement. He won the English heavyweight title.
And you know, he said, didn't he, after the fight, that Tyson, you know, he kind of laid it on the line. He said, you know, Tyson Fury's a fighting man. He knows he'll take the fight, kind of thing. So, you know, is the fight going to happen? We don't know.
That would be,
I mean, they're talking about him going out on the Macklin bill on March 17th with Martinez, having a fight on that bill.
Who?
Price.
Right.
As a warm-up, and then looking at Tyson Fury in sort of May. So a belting fight, that won't.
I mean, you know, Tyson Fury, he doesn't say no to fights. You know, like what he's saying, he's a fighting man. He'll fight anybody. You know, he's actually said that he'll go and fight anybody, hasn't he? So, you know, it shouldn't be an hard fight to make, should it?
Yeah. Hopefully, it'd be great anyway.
And now that he's mandatory now for the British, isn't it? Of which Tyson Fury owns. So. you know.
It's going to happen, isn't it? Yeah. It'd be a great fight,
Great fight.
Also on the bill, we had Paddy McDonough. He beat John Waldron on points over 10 rounds to win the vacant Irish light heavyweight title. So that was good news for Paddy. And also in Las Vegas as well, we had Guillermo Rigondeaux. He beat Rico Ramos with a 6-round TKO in Las Vegas to win the WBA Super Bantamweight title in Las Vegas. So it was a great performance because it's on his 9th fight, isn't it? Yeah. As a professional, I mean, I know he's had
now he's world champion after 9 fights.
So it's a bit special.
He was well known when he was an amateur.
Yeah,
he was
one of the best.
One of the best
ever.
Really,
So it was. It's just sometimes people struggle, don't they, with that change, as you were saying there before.
Yeah, some kids step to the pro game quicker than the others, don't they? Yeah. Some don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Managed by Gary Hyde as well. So.
Yeah.
This is the Main Event Boxing Show in association with Premier Sports. We're joined on the phone now with Andre Ward, the WBC, WBA, Ring Magazine and the Supersix tournament winner. Hello, Andre.
How you doing, guys?
How you doing, pal? Thanks for joining us, mate. I know it's early out there. Can you understand us? Okay?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, brilliant, excellent. Andre, you recently won the final of the Showtime Supersix tournament against Britain's Carl Froch. Has it sunk in yet exactly what it is you've achieved over the last couple of years with this tournament?
Not really. You know, this boxing game, sometimes you can get on a run like I've been on in this Super Six, and everything can just kind of move so fast. And, you know, I probably won't be able to cherish and really relish this victory until it's all over with. Just because, I mean, 5 minutes after I get done fighting, they're talking about my next opponent. And that's just the nature of the sport. So even though I've come home and I've had a chance to settle down, it really still hasn't sunk in. I mean, I was able to win a lot of different, a lot of hardware, some more belts, another great cup like the Super Six, and just, it hasn't sunk in, but, that's something that's probably going to take a little time.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, you beat Carl Froch last month to win the final. Was the fight as easy as it looked for you?
It wasn't.
No, right.
It's never as easy as it looks. A lot of people, they come up to me after the fight and they make a reference to the fight being easy, and that's the furthest thing from my mind, because regardless of what the scorecard said, obviously in a sport like boxing, one shot can change a fighter's career on either side. And even on a night when you're dominating or it looks like you're dominating, you got to stay focused. And it's not just a normal focus; it's an abnormal focus. I mean, you really have to hone in on the task at hand. So because I was in that mindset for 12 full rounds, it didn't seem easy at all.
Yeah, you've got to stay focused, don't you? We've got John Murray in the studio as well, and Bobby Rimmo. He's a trainer in Manchester. And John obviously has just fought for the world title against Brandon Rios, so he can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, having to stay focused for 12 rounds, it can be very tough. Even if the fight's easy after the fight, you can be mentally very drained. So yeah, I can understand what you're saying.
Of course, yeah. What's going through your mind, Andre? On a fight like that, it's the biggest fight of your career so far. What's going through your mind in the dressing room?
Well, it's kind of, it's twofold. I mean, number one, I always have a healthy respect for my opponents, and that's why you guys never see me, discrediting anybody on the internet or, via interviews or however the interview's being conducted, because, by me respecting that opponent and by, giving him his just due, it causes me to be mentally on the plane that I need to be on, but also it causes me to physically prepare the way I'm supposed to prepare. And if they're anything less than what I think they are, then that's just a bonus. So that's the first thing, is I have a healthy respect, even leading up to the fight. I'm preparing myself for a tough fight. But then also, there's a sense, and there's a feeling of, I'm here for a reason, and I'm just really fired up to get out there and showcase what I have. So, there's a healthy respect, but there's also just a strong desire to go out there and perform, even on the biggest stage.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, did you study Carl much? Obviously you've seen Carl over the years anyway, because of the tournament. But did you actually kind of get any footage and study Carl for this fight?
Absolutely. I'm the kind of fighter where, obviously I've been boxing for over 15 years, so it doesn't take long to watch, an opponent or watch a fighter and kind of see what I need to see. So what I tend to do is, I get into training camp when I have nothing to do but train and rest. And I watch a lot of film early on. I watch different fights that the particular opponent has fought. And, I kind of back away from it for a few weeks, and then I'll come back and kind of watch a few things. And, my coach, Virgil, he's a little bit different. He'll watch film at 2, 3 in the morning, all types of times at night, all throughout camp. And but we did watch him together. We watched him by ourselves. And, we knew Froch was tough. We knew that one of his biggest strengths was his competitiveness. And ironically enough, that's one of my biggest strengths as well. Yeah. And because we saw that, we just prepared ourselves again for just a very physically tough fight. And that's why I was able to be on point come fight night.
Yeah. Did you expect more from Carl Froch, though?
Well, I'm going to just say this. He gave, I feel, the best he could. I was in there with him, obviously. And, I could hear him grunting with every punch he threw. He had bad intentions on the punches. And, I never got the sense that he gave up. Mm-hmm. So I think on that night he put forth the best effort that he possibly could. I don't feel it was easy. I feel like it was a great overall victory, being that it was the finals and everything like that. But that being said, I still don't even think that the world nor Carl Froch has seen my best. So I take my hat off to him for the effort he put forth, but I know I have a lot better.
Okay. Talking about the Super Six then, what was the hardest fight in the tournament for you?
Sakio Bika, hands down.
Right, okay, fair enough. He's a tough lad, innit? I remember him seeing him fight Joe Calzaghe, and he took him right to the wire. He's a tough kid, innit?
Yeah, he's very tough. He was the same in the contender, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That final of the contender with Sakio Bika. I mean, it was ridiculous, wasn't it? I mean, it was both on the floor up and knocking each other down. When he fought Joe Calzaghe, he was training in my gym in Manchester. And I was watching him training, and you could see that it was just all business. Nothing else. He was just focused, and you could actually see. You could actually see in his eyes the desire that he wanted to beat Joe Calzaghe. And he tried to hit Joe Calzaghe with everything but the kitchen sink, didn't he? His elbows, and you get everything off him, elbows and everything, don't you?
Yeah. Why was it a tough fight, Andre? Was it because he was strong, or slippery? What was it?
Well, Sakio Bika is the kind of guy that when you sign to fight him, as soon as you sign the contract, it's going to be a long night. It's just the way it is. Some guys are just like that. Yeah. And, the fight was an ugly fight. And at the end of the day, I'm happy that, I was able to show that I can win ugly. That's necessary sometimes. But just his awkwardness, the mindset that he comes into the ring with. I mean, he had nothing to lose, nothing to lose and everything to gain. And it was, the opposite for me. And just, not only just his style, but just the fouls and the elbows, like you guys just mentioned, and, some of the things that he tries to do. But even though it wasn't, stylistically a pretty fight, those kind of fights are necessary sometimes to prove to yourself that you can get through something like that. But also, believe it or not, it helps hone your style. And as you guys see that, the inside game for me is something that has been evolving over the years. And being in there with a fighter like Sakio Bika just even helps the process that much more.
Yeah, of course.
You know what, Andre? His trainer was a fella called Mark Pitts, and it puts it in a nutshell how strong Sakio Bika is. He was training for a fight, and it was the day before the fight, and he jumped in the wrong end of the swimming pool in the hotel where he was, and he can't swim. And his trainer followed him in, and he was on the bottom of the pool. His trainer had to drag him out of the pool and kind of revive him. And the next night he went out and won.
Sounds like an act, lunatic.
Wow.
Yeah, he was actually on the bottom of the pool. His trainer, Mark Pitts, told me he had to drag him out of the pool, revive him and get him going again. And the next night he went out and won. So that's the kind of bloke you're dealing with, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, that had to be a sight, a guy that big, being dragged out of a pool like that. Yeah. That's something.
Yeah. Well, why is he dived in then if he knows he can't swim?
He jumped in the wrong end. He thought it was the 3-foot end, and he jumped in the 6-foot end.
Unbelievable.
I don't know, madness. Obviously, Andre, going back to the tournament, it was a successful tournament. It was a great tournament, actually. It was really exciting, all the best meeting the best. Is it something that you'd like to see rolled out into other divisions?
I would. I mean, from a fan standpoint, and I am a fan of the sport, I understand some of the frustration through some of the pullouts, some of the postponements, and the length of the actual tournament, But I think all in all, I think Showtime, I think the promoters as well as the fighters showed tremendous patience, showed tremendous resolve to be able to bounce back when certain things, took place in the tournament, such as, again, pullouts, postponements. And I think, the replacements were the next best guys. So, a lot of people were saying a lot of different things, and I think it was tremendous. I mean, I don't think anything like that has ever been done. And when you are the trailblazer, for something new, you're going to have hiccups. Things are going to happen. But again, as a whole, I think it started great. I think it ended great. And as a fan, I would love to see this in other weight classes. I really would.
Yeah, it was definitely a brilliant
Yeah,
tournament.
fantastic.
All about
And for it to work in the end,
yeah.
with all the problems that there was at times, it was, like you say, it was great resilience by the promoters and the television companies, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Andre. How frustrating was it for you guys, all when there was the pull-outs and that? Was there at any point there where you thought it might not work?
Well, sure. I mean, there were times where, for example, when Kessler pulled out, I mean, that was, or when Darrell pulled out. I mean, these things weren't expected. And, there is a part of you that reads some of the press and even, just in your own mind, you feel like, man, is this ever going to end? And how is this going to look, in our boxing history for something, this big to get started and then it flopped? So there were plenty of times where I didn't think it was going to happen. But as soon as I started to think that way, Showtime had come up with an answer. And, I really appreciate that because, Showtime and, again, the promoters, they were the glue that kept this thing together. Them being able to work certain things out, stand down when they needed to stand down or agree when they needed to agree. I mean, that's why this thing, it was a collective effort. So, again, whenever I felt doubt and got to that point where I thought it was over, I'd get a phone call and say it's back on.
Yeah, brilliant, excellent. So what's next then for Andre Ward? Who else would you like to meet in the division?
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, that's what they're all asking you, isn't it? You must get tired of this question, yeah.
You know what? I talk to my team almost on a daily basis, and I'm bugging them and blowing their phones up, trying to get some clarity on what's next. And honestly, it's just a lot of moving pieces right now.
Yeah.
I think Boutte's in the near future. That fight will happen and should happen. There's another champion out there, Robert Stieglitz, and that's really my goal. I mean, my goal is to make history in this division, and I could be wrong, but I don't think there's ever been an undisputed champion in the 168-pound division, and there are 2 guys left that have the belt, so that's kind of where I'm setting my sights right now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, there's talks as well of maybe Carl Froch meeting Butte as well soon. If that fight was to happen, how would you see that one finishing?
Well, again, it's tough to say, but if I had to choose right now, just based on being in there with Froch, I think that, and this isn't underestimating Butte in any way, I just feel like Froch has the ingredients mentally as well as physically with his style to potentially break Butte. I mean, of course, Butte is a champion. He's defended his belt, several times, so he's going to be in the fight, and he's a live dog. Yeah. But I think down the stretch, if Froch can start getting to him early and often, I think that he has a great opportunity to begin to break Butte down and eventually possibly stop him or make it really bad for him in the later round.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned then as well a little bit about you want to unify the division, but once that's done, is a move up to light heavyweight, is that a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? If I'm fortunate enough to unify this division. I mean, I think that's the natural step that we need to take. I've always wanted to be a multi-divisional champion, and if I'm able to win these next 2 belts, I'll become a 4-time world champion at 168 pounds, and I think that will be the natural move up is to go up to light heavyweight.
Okay, yeah, of course, yeah. So when are you likely to be in action again then, Andre?
Well, right now, my hand is still hurting. The cast is off, but it feels a lot better, and I think I have probably 2 to 3 more weeks before I could potentially hit something. And, April would probably be a little bit too soon. Right. Early May, Floyd Mayweather has that date, May 5th. The next week, they're probably going to re-show his fight from the previous week. So I'm looking at the 3rd or 4th week in May, potentially in my hometown. But again, that's not anything concrete. But that's my focus right now is mid to late May.
Okay, brilliant. Just talking about other fighters as well, outside your division, who do you follow in the boxing game?
Well, I pretty much follow everybody. I mean, again, I'm a student of the game, and I just love, whether it's on a championship level or a club level. I mean, I respect the fighters a great deal because, I just understand, obviously. I understand from an intimate standpoint what they go through, what they're going through, what's going through their minds. And, I sit at home and I watch as many fights as I can. I mean, the gentleman that's on the broadcast, on the interview with us now that fought, the young man from here, America.
Brandon Rios, John Murray.
Brandon Rios. I mean, he put up a tremendous fight, and he fought through it, and he was in the fight the whole time. So I watched that fight every round, and I just support the sport of boxing as a whole, whether you're an American fighter, a UK fighter, or someone else. I try to just have a broad scope of the game at all times.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, brilliant. You touched a little bit on it before then as well about Mayweather. There's been news out again this week about Mayweather Pacquiao. They're looking at May 5th, hopefully, but Mayweather's come out and said that he doesn't think Pacquiao should get a 50-50 split. How do you see that, and do you think the fight will go ahead?
Well, it's not really my business to say what they should do and what they shouldn't do, because I'm not privy to what's going on behind the scenes and revenue splits and what's on the table. But I guess my assumption would be, with a fight of this magnitude, that I guess I would think that a 50-50 split would be just, would be the norm. But both fighters are in a position where they call their own shots, and if one fighter chooses not to want to take a 50-50 split, whether it's right or wrong, that they have the right to do that. I mean, they've earned that right. As far as how the fight will go, it would be a very good fight, and I think obviously that's why the world wants to see it. And, of course, I'm a Floyd Mayweather fan, and I respect Manny, and he's a great champion, but I would have to go with my boy, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Okay,
fair enough. Okay, the last question we've got for you tonight, Andre, is there anything that you'd like to say to the UK fans? Because, you are a popular fighter over here on these shows, so, a lot of people tuned in to watch the fight, although it was against Froch. You still had quite a bit of support as well. And a lot of people appreciated the win, really, just because of the style that you won in. So is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Absolutely. Andre Ward loves the UK. I love the fans. I'm very, before I turned professional, I got most of my fan mail from the UK. You guys are just, some of the best fans in the world. And I love the way you support your own, but if for some reason your own doesn't win, you always give the other guy his just due, and I think that's just a very classy act and a very classy thing to do. And, my goal is to, adopt the UK fans as my own as well, and continue to put on great fights, not just for Americans, but again, for the UK fans and the people where you guys are, and hopefully bring a fight to the UK against another UK fighter or just a fight in general, because I think the UK deserves it.
Yeah, it'd be great, yeah. Wonderful to see. Okay, brilliant. Andre, we're going to let you get going, mate. Like I say, we appreciate you taking the time out to do this interview with us today. And, as the next fight gets a little bit nearer, hopefully we'll have you on the phone again.
I'm looking forward to it, fellas. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
cheers, Andre.
Thanks, mate.
Take care, mate.
Bye, mate. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
That was Andre Ward on the phone there, the WBA and all the rest of him, Ring Magazine, a lot. He's done a lot. He's probably, for me now at the minute, pound for pound, one of the best, well, I'd say pound for pound the best fighter out there at the minute. Great interview, you know what I mean? He was talking there about unifying the division and stuff like that. He's definitely got the skills to do it, hasn't he?
Yeah, of course he has. Mate, and he seems a nice kid as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was, and like
and
you say,
was that story true, Bob? Yeah,
about that Sacco His trainer's called Mark Pitts. I talk to him all the time.
Yeah.
And they've been in some hotel somewhere, and he can't swim. Yeah. And he thought he was jumping in the shallow end, and he's gone in the deep end. And he's gone in that Mark Pitts and seen him on the bottom of the thing and had to drag him out and get him sorted out and get him right again. And he's gone on the next day and won.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Can never tell with him, you know what I mean?
How can I make that
Yeah,
happen?
no, I mean, yeah, it was, that's some story, that,
Yeah,
isn't it? But it's tough, though, isn't it? It's tough, honestly, that Calzaghe fight, honestly. I thought he'd won it, to be honest.
He trained at the gym with us. You have Jose, he was there up at the gym. He looked like he was just carved out of stone.
Yeah, he does, yeah. But going back to Andre Ward and that, he was just saying, and he's one of them kind of lads as well. He eats, sleeps and breathes it, doesn't he? He lives right, doesn't he?
You know what? You can't rule the rematch out with Carl Froch, can you? you know, because, you know, if like you said, Froch beats that beauty, obviously it's Carl Froch, isn't it? You know what I mean? And Eddie Hearn's making great strides at the minute, isn't he? And he seems to be getting the fights, doesn't he? You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does, he does. Okay, moving on then, lads. We've got a little bit of boxing news. Martin Murray was talking about it last week, actually, when he was on the show. Yeah, he might end up meeting Darren Barker, after all.
Yeah, looking that way
big clash,
today,
So, be great if it happens. We were talking last time, John.
Yeah,
it's sorting up nicely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another hot division. Another hot division in British boxing, and you know, they can have some great domestic tussles, you know, and not just like British title, but world class tussles in the division, and that's what the sport needs.
Honestly, Macklin beats Martinez. You know, don't rule
out of the question, is it?
Don't rule out Macklin and Murray.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. That one.
You know what I mean? I'm telling you, you know, if he comes through the Barker fight, all right, or you know. Don't rule that out at all. You know,
there's a little bit of
it's just boiling nice.
Between them all, isn't there?
John, you can see it coming, can't you? You know what I mean? So
they're all starting to hit each other, aren't they? Just slightly. So be brilliant. Okay, moving on. The last bit of news for this week. We've got the fixtures. Carl Frampton defends his Commonwealth Super Bantamweight title tomorrow night against Chris Hughes, Scotland's Chris Hughes. You know, at the York Hall, Bethnal Green. It'd be a good fight really, because obviously they're talking about, you know, if Scott gets through his next
Carl
fight,
Frampton and Scott Corrigan, so you know, from where we're sat, the British scene's hotting up again, isn't it now? So
good stuff,
you know.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Prediction?
No.
What for Frampton Hughes?
Yeah.
I think Frampton's hot at the minute. I think Frampton should win that, and like I say, if he comes through that, then it could be him and Quigg, and what a fight that would be. Like I say, I think it's also what all the divisions at the minute are, because the best are fighting the best, whereas in the past they probably avoid each other and go their own ways. But you know, the promoters are getting their heads together, and we're getting the best in against the best fighters in Britain, and for that reason we're getting such great tussles.
Yeah, brilliant, excellent. Right, okay, lads, that's the end of the show. John, sorry, I'd like to thank you for coming in, mate. It's been brilliant. Obviously, you'll be in again anyway soon, hopefully. Yep. Bobby, thanks, mate.
Nice one.
And you know, to all the listeners out there. This has been the main event. Make sure you check us out again next week, Friday night, 10 o'clock on Sky Channel 433. We'll see you next week.